1, a 2, a 1.
It's time for the Better Horses radio show. So let's saddle up and ride as we explore the Western way of life, horses and cows, family and friends, a relationship with the land, and a relationship with God. It's all here on Better Horses Radio. Now let's hit the trails with the Better Horses team.
And welcome to Better Horses Radio. I'm your host, Ed Adams.
And I'm Merle Arbo.
And together we get to talk all about the horse industry. And in this episode, we're going to talk about Barn Life 101. Merle, thank you for joining me.
Oh, thanks for having me back. It's always fun to be here. And like we say, you never know what you're going to listen to here on this program.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we do have a plan. Let me tell you, I don't know if it's going to work that way, but we do have a plan. You know, I tell you, coming out of Labor Day, and all of us are talking about, we're going to hear from Mark Oppel too, but, you know, I decided to do something a little bit different. Now, instead of going out and talking to all these professional trainers, I let the professional trainers come to me. So everyone on this show, Merle, is actually at Silvertooth Stables, and we just threw a mic at them, and we literally let them talk all about what they do for a living there at Silvertooth Stables.
So we have a day in the life of Ed Adams. This is coming at you today.
Well, you and I both know what it's like to really manage a barn and live this. A lot of people say you guys have the best jobs ever. And there's a lot of challenges here. But starting off, we're going to have Alexis Losey. Now, Merle, she's from Crown One Farms here in Pleasant Hill, Missouri. And she comes to our barn and she does a lot of training, not only in the English dressage side, but also on the Western WDAA side and the ranch riding.
Well, Ed, also joining us on Better Horses today is trainer Mike Davis from New Franklin, Missouri. Mike works on both draft horses and stock type horses from yearlings on up. He's got a real passion for helping horses reach their potential, and we're looking forward to hearing from Mike about his training program and what he's been working on.
You know, it's really great to see these guys still coming up, getting these green horses all legged up and bringing them up to these riders and boarders. It's really kind of neat. And then finally, we're going to have Ed Reardon. Now, he's a professional farrier located in Kansas City. Now, he actually went to the Bob Gherkin Horseshoeing School and on the campus of Rice University in Houston, Texas in 1970. Now, Merle, that gives you an idea of how much experience this guy has. So he's been president of the Missouri Association, and he's also been a horse owner since he was 10 years old, and he's also shown in halter, pleasure, reining, cutting, and roping events. He's been a judge for open horse shows for over 15 years. I'm excited about having this guy here, Merle, because you know what? Ed retired, but the love of the horseshoeing changed his mind, and he unretired. I guess that's a new thing now. We should talk about unretiring. He's 75 years old, and he typically works about a 4-day week. So I'm very anxious to have him on board because we got to figure out where all that old information and that intuitive knowledge is coming from a farrier industry.
You know, I've known Ed a long time. I'm not going to say how long because that would age me too. But he's got a lot of good stories, especially about some of those old quarter horse days when he was showing as a kid and tying pop bottles and horses' tails. And
well, we'll see if we can't bring all that back up. All right. Well, that kind of looks at our episode. So let's take it over to Mark. Mark, let's talk about the better cattle market and seeing what's going on over there. Take it away.
Well, thanks, Ed. Another great program lined up here as we get back to work here after the Labor Day holiday. And in fact, a couple days already passed here and only a couple days left before another weekend. But great show here. You know, speaking of Labor Day, hope everybody had a great holiday. One of the last of the summer here. Hard to believe that we're closing the book on, quote, summer. And students back in school and farm shows. We had the Farm Progress Show here last week. Husker Harvest Days, for those of you who are living out in the Western Belt, Nebraska, and Grand Island, coming up here next week. In fact, that's next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in Grand Island. So at that time of year, but I saw an article, and it kind of connects to Labor Day. Some of the most successful people in business labored many years before success came their way. A recent article caught my eye. I wanted to share it with everybody here today. And some people are blessed with vision, of course, and they're at the right place at the right time to launch an idea. Bill Gates, for one, he was barely 20 years old when he left college for a time to start a software company, of course, Microsoft. But the article pointed out several highly successful businessmen and women labored many, many years with an idea before it finally took off. Here's a short list. Sam Walton, he was 44 years old when he opened his first Walmart, and we know how that story is going right now. Christian Dior, ladies know all about that name. She was 41 when her passion for cosmetics finally took off. Henry Ford, 45 when he started Ford Motor Company on his own. Harlan Sanders was 62 years old when he was convinced that his fried chicken recipe was better than anyone else's, and we know how that's going today as well. Orville Redenbacher, 58 when he and his partner introduced their signature hybrid popcorn. In fact, he was 73 when the Redenbacher brand was first introduced. Certainly all those and a lot more, laborers of love and following their passion. So, folks, when you listening here and you have an idea and you think, I'm not sure it'll ever take place, I'm getting up there in years and it'll probably never happen, take heart when you hear about Sam Walton and Henry Ford, Orville Redenbacher, Harlan Sanders. Time is on your side. Just keep pushing and keep that passion going. Well, we take a look at this cattle trade here, and when I go back to that cattle on feed report that we saw a week ago, it shows inventories here, of course, 10.9, almost 11 million head. That was down over 1.5% year over year. But more important is that this was the 8th consecutive smaller monthly inventory and the smallest monthly feedlot total since October 2017. The market certainly is reflecting that. A 12-month moving average of feedlot inventories, which removes all the seasonality and shows general trends, dropped in August to the lowest level since March of 2019. Further here, we look, the outlook for 2025 beef production overall has been lowered another 262 million pounds from last month, now at 25, nearly 26 billion pounds expected year over year. That's a decline of 4%. The slaughter pace in July and early August, much slower than expected. Fewer than anticipated placements in June lowered expectations for marketing in late this year. Lastly, cow slaughter 2025 adjusted lower as well. Here's another little tidbit that I wanted to pass on. Again, making the most out of damaged wheat. This year's weather delayed harvest left many wheat growers in fields with low test weights, sprouted grain, in fact, damage causing large discounts at the elevator because the grain didn't meet standards of milling wheat or for export. Wheat that does not meet market specifications still has value as a livestock feed, either as part of supplements for grazing cattle or mixed diets for growing and finishing cattle. Keep that in mind here. Again, if you're in that wheat country and feeding wheat. Finally, the latest recent Superior Livestock Bighorn Classic, they recently held that out at Sheridan, Wyoming. Over 113,000, almost 114,000 head offered in that sale. They came from 31 states, so not just from the western part of the country, and 315 different buyers. So it shows you the demand that's out there right now, Ed. And prices were, for wean calves were $15 to $25 higher than the previous sale, and feeder steers and heifers were $10 to $20 higher, and all were setting new all-time highs for the auction for Superior at the recent Classic in Sheridan. Well, a little bit long here today, but hopefully helpful information. And as always, before we head it back to you, Ed, we wish everyone a profitable week ahead.
And thank you, Mark. We appreciate that on the Better Cattle segment. Okay, we're going to roll in right into the horse tip of the week. And Merle, I'm going to throw this to you and to give us a better tip of the week.
Well, Ed, sadly for most of us, Labor Day marks the unofficial end of summer. And I know a lot of horse people would like to ride forever, but especially when it gets to be comfortable. But winter is fast approaching, so hopefully you get your hay figured out soon. But as the seasons start to shift, now is the perfect time to get your barn and your horses ready for fall. Let's start about blanketing. You know, a lot of people wonder, should I blanket my horse or should I not blanket my horse? A general rule for me is if you're going to be showing your horse, then I think you should be putting a sheet or a blanket on, depending on, how late your show season goes. I know for me, I try to regulate the barn temperature with the barn doors up and down so I don't have to be quite as concerned about sheets, especially early in the season. Also, talk to your veterinarians about fall vaccinations and dewormings. Now is a great time to get your horse boosted and get ready for the colder months when stress and weather changes can lower their immunity. And don't forget the barn itself. Clean those fans you've been running all summer if they're fixed. And if they're not, tuck them away, get them out of the stalls. If they are, you can put a trash bag over them and then tie the trash bag so you can keep that clean during the winter. While you're up there, you might as well knock down the dust, the cobwebs, and the clutter so you're starting with a safe and fresh environment. And here's a big one, and Susie's been helping me with it. The last one is rodent control. As the temperatures drop, mice and critters start looking for a warm place to live. Seal your feed bins tight, check for gaps in the wall, and set traps or put out poison if you're comfortable with it. Susie has another plan too. You can just get a lot of cats. So instead of having a lot of mice now, we have a lot of cats. So a little preparation, Ed, can save you a lot of money and headaches down the road. Fall's about setting yourself up and your horses for a safe and healthy winter.
And that has been your Better Horses Tip of the Week by Merle Arbo. That was well done.
Well,
good job, bud. I appreciate it.
Like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
All right, everyone. I want you to stay with us. We've got more Better Horses coming your way right after these messages. I'm your host, Ed Adams.
And I'm Merle Arbo.
And we'll be right back.
Get quality you can stand on. Hoof Grip is the proprietary formula that provides shock absorption for your animals with no ice buildup, slipping, cracking, or sogginess, making it the safest, most comfortable, and maintenance-free flooring on the market. Hoof Grip installs quickly and easily over existing surfaces, is easy to clean, and withstands extreme heat or cold. From vet offices to barns, wash racks to trailers and more. Visit hoofgrip.com to find a dealer in your area today.
Hey, it's Matt at Heritage Tractor. Around here, we don't just sell tractors. We stand behind what we run. And we believe the difference between John Deere and the rest is more than just paint deep. We put the John Deere 1025R head-to-head against the competition. Spoiler alert, it wasn't even close. From smarter hydraulics to easier maintenance and a smoother ride, the 1025R was built for real work, not just showroom specs. Want proof? See the side-by-side results at heritagetractor.com. Or better yet, stop in and feel the difference for yourself.
Routine dental examination and treatments are essential for high-quality horse care. To prevent potential problems, a horse's mouth should be examined at least once a year. I'm Dr. Chris Blevins, Equine Field Service Veterinarian at Kansas State University Veterinary Health Center. We can examine the mouth and provide a treatment plan to meet the needs of each client and their horse. Visit us at ksvhc.org, the Veterinary Health Center, to discover, to teach, to heal.
Established in 1956, the Pinto Horse Association of America was formed to welcome all types of equines and maintain their show records and pedigrees. PTHA currently has over 88,000 members with 157,000 registered pintos. There are currently 3 separate registries: the Color Registry, the Solid Registry, and the Long Ear Registry. We welcome all levels of competition within a family-friendly environment. Become a member, register, and add value to your horse. For more information, check out the website pintoworld.com.
And we are back, and you're listening to Better Horses Radio as we talk about the day in the life here at Silvertooth Stables. And we visit everybody that's coming in, even professional trainers. And I'm very excited and honored to have one of our professional trainers, Alexis Losey from Crown One Farms in Pleasant Hill, Missouri. He's been training for a very long time. Glad to have her. And we're going to talk all about training horses. Alexis, welcome to Better Horses.
Hi, Ed. How's it going?
Well, it's going great. Now, as a matter of fact, I want to talk to you about going into this fall. Summer's over. Everybody's competed. Now they're going into the World Championship shows and are going into other shows that are finalizing the year. Do we do anything different in our training? And I'll tell the listening audience, you specialize in dressage and also ranch riding, a couple ranch riding events. What should we be looking for when we're going into the final competitions for the year?
I have a really good story. A number of years ago when I was a beginning trainer, I was going into a fall championship and I was going to go out and compete and conquer this horse show with a young horse, mind you. And I went into the night before the competition and I tried to school stuff the horse did not know to make him better. And that was a big mistake because the next day in warm-up, he bucked me off because I'd stressed him out.
Oh, my. Okay.
So never change what you do at home to what you do at the horse show. Never teach your horse something new at a horse show trying to make him better, trying to make him fancier. No, he doesn't know it. You're going to stress him out, and it could end up very badly for you. So keep your routine the same, keep everything the same. You'll have a happier competition and a happier horse.
So let me push back a little bit going into the championship. Let's say my flying lead changes are not quite where they should be, or let's say he just can't do it, and I want to find all the weaknesses he's had and try to correct those before the championship. You said that's the challenge. Okay, so walk me through that.
Don't do it. So if you can't get him at home, then don't expect that you're going to get them at the horse show just because maybe you ride them harder or you ask louder. That's not how it works. So maybe at the horse show, you say, oh, okay, instead of I cannot get this flying lead change, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a simple change, meaning I'm going to canter, then bring him back to a trot, then pick up my new lead. Hey, great, you got it. You didn't get the flying lead change, but your score will not be a 0 because you completely bombed that change. Or maybe you bring him back really slow from the canter to almost a walk, and then you pick up your new lead instead of just trying to bulldoze him through that change.
Makes sense. Now, there's a lot of disciplines out there that everybody's going. We got ranch riding, we got barrel racers, we got a lot of UHCA obstacles going, and then we also have dressage. You're specializing in dressage, both English and Western. For our listeners that are not used to that discipline, can you kind of give us a 10,000-foot view of why you like it and why you specialize in that training?
So dressage is just the training of the horse. I have a bunch of clients who are new to riding, and I don't care what discipline you ride, be it English, Western. Dressage is applicable to everybody. It's just teaching your horse the basics. How to properly walk, trot, and canter, how the horse carries themselves in a nice, polite frame where they're not pulling, shoving against you, being rude under saddle. So you're just giving your horse really nice parameters, basic guidelines for your horse to follow. And so I'm teaching the rider body position, leg cues to make your horse go and whoa. And it's less about pulling your horse, kicking your horse, shoving your horse to make it do what you want, and using more subtle aids, your belly muscles, your thigh muscles, the closing of your hands. That's what dressage is. It's the subtle cues.
So looking at when you're into arenas and you're being judged on dressage, what are the things that the judges are looking for that gets you into that top score above the 70s?
So the horse's correct flexion, the submission of the horse. Does the horse look like he would be enjoyable to ride? Or is the horse looking up and around? Does he have a giraffe neck? Is he screaming at the other horses in the arena? So we want a submissive horse. Is your horse not running away with you around the arena and you're holding on for dear life? Or is it pleasantly going in a nice 20-meter circle with the correct rhythm and tempo? Geometry, rhythm, tempo, connection, the correct frame and outline of our horse. Those are all things that dressage judges are looking for.
And in your experience, to simulate that environment, so if you're looking at people that normally don't compete and they're going to go into this environment to calm your horse down, keep them controlled, how do you simulate that environment where you have lots of other horses around, you've got a judge around? Is there any type of techniques that you can think of as I'm sitting back to all the private owners out there and saying, how can I better get my horse to calm down and really get into this type of discipline?
Can you take your horse places?
Yes.
Can you go and haul your horse to a schooling environment? Can you haul your horse to your neighbor's farm and just ride around at their property? Maybe they, are driving a tractor more often. Can you take your horse places? Can you take your horse trail riding? Can you take your horse anywhere that is safe so that your horse learns to travel, that your horse learns new environments are not scary? Those are going to be the best things to prepare you for big, loud environments. But then some horses actually, they do well in environments because there's other horses around. So preparing, though, taking your horse places would be something that I would recommend doing.
You don't want to overtrain, so I want to make sure I couch this question here. How often do you think riders should train going into the competition on a weekly basis? Do you recommend every day get on your horse? Do you recommend every other day? I know it's all depending on the horse and depending on the discipline, but what's a school of thumb there?
Well, it depends on how, as an amateur, how many days can you do it, first of all. If you can only ride 3 days a week, then you can only ride 3 days a week. Maybe your trainer can ride it another day or two. I like either 4 or 5 days of schooling and then a day of nonsense work, like trail riding or just bumming around the property, letting your horse not think about anything. Or maybe you do a day of just light little cavalettes to change things up for your horse. But more than 5 days, I don't need to do that. I know a lot of people like to do 6 days, maybe 7 days. Your horse needs a day of rest. So I wouldn't do more than 6. And I'm definitely lightly riding on the 6th day if I am. You got to let your horse's muscles relax. They are not machines. They need days off.
There you go. And if you're just joining us, we're talking to Alexis Losi from Crown One Farms in Pleasant Hill, Missouri, and finalizing going into the fall season. We're going to get real cold here soon. So what are some of the things that we need to be recognizing going into the colder weather?
Do you have your blankets ready for the winter? Do you have your hay purchased? Do you have your fall vaccines? You need those. And my brain just went blank, Ed.
Because we have so much we have to think about.
We're still kind of in the summertime here, so it's still really hot. Yeah. But yeah, are my blankets ready? Do I have my winter, my heated elements, my heated water buckets? Are they already thought about? Those are some things that I'm thinking about.
We're getting into the fall season, so Mother Nature is going to tell all these horses to gorge as much as you can. Got to be careful on their weight because that's something they like to do if you put them out too much in the pasture. Okay, and our final question. Let's talk about the economy of horses. Now, everybody likes to trade and sell and train horses and flip them. From your perspective, it's all over the board as far as breeds, as far as discipline. What are you seeing out there from your perspective?
I just tried to sell thoroughbred. Thoroughbred market is very interesting. And this is not a race horse thoroughbred. This is just a pleasure thoroughbred that I bought. That market is really low, meaning less than 10,000, and then the lower, like $5,000. That's all it seems like people are willing to spend for really nice thoroughbreds. So that was very surprising to me. The warm blood market is still very high. Warm bloods don't seem to lose their price tag. A good solid warm blood is still going to go for $50,000, all the way up to a highly trained one for $150,000, $200,000. So it just depends on the level of education that warm blood has. So warm bloods are still very expensive.
And you know what? Auctions are still going pretty full, and they're getting a lot of turnover over there. So in doing that, breeders that are breeding warm bloods, are they normally in the United States, or do you see them going international?
It's both, to be honest. There's lots of people who import warm bloods from Europe. That's the main place we import them from. But there are a lot of breeders here in the United States who still do a really good job of. So it doesn't matter where you get your horse from. Do you want to have the import cost? Because it costs, $10,000 at least to import a horse over to the United States from Europe. And then the quarantine that they have to, depending on if they're mare or stallion gelding. So if you can buy local, great, but the United States is a really big market. So now you're flying from East Coast to West Coast. And sometimes people like just to fly over to Europe because Europe is a very small country. And so you can go to Germany, you can go to France, you can go to England, all within a couple hours and see an enormous amount of horses. But now you're paying import costs. So what do you do?
And we don't know if tariffs are going to be put in there too.
Yeah.
So very good. All right, so you're listening to Alexis Losi. She's a professional trainer here in Missouri. Alexis, I want to thank you for joining us here at Better Horses and want you to come back.
Great. Thanks, Ed, for having me.
All right, thank you. All right, everyone, stay with us. We've got more Better Horses coming your way right after these messages. We'll be right back.
Get quality you can stand on. Hoof Grip is the proprietary formula that provides shock absorption for your animals with no ice buildup, slipping, cracking, or sogginess, making it the safest, most comfortable, and maintenance-free flooring on the market. Hoof Grip installs quickly and easily over existing surfaces, is easy to clean, and withstands extreme heat or cold. From vet offices to barns, wash racks to trailers and more. Visit hoofgrip.com to find a dealer in your area today.
Hey, it's Matt at Heritage Tractor. Around here, we don't just sell tractors. We stand behind what we run. And we believe the difference between John Deere and the rest is more than just paint deep. We put the John Deere 1025R head-to-head against the competition. Spoiler alert, it wasn't even close. From smarter hydraulics to easier maintenance and a smoother ride, the 1025R was built for real work, not just showroom specs. Want proof? See the side-by-side results at heritagetractor.com. Or better yet, stop in and feel the difference for yourself.
Routine dental examination and treatments are essential for high-quality horse care. To prevent potential problems, a horse's mouth should be examined at least once a year. I'm Dr. Chris Blevins, Equine Field Service Veterinarian at Kansas State University Veterinary Health Center. We can examine the mouth and provide a treatment plan to meet the needs of each client and their horse. Visit us at ksvhc.org, the Veterinary Health Center, to discover, to teach, to heal.
Established in 1956, the Pinto Horse Association of America was formed to welcome all types of equines and maintain their show records and pedigrees. PTHA currently has over 88,000 members with 157,000 registered Pintos. There are currently 3 separate registries: the Color Registry, the Solid Registry, and the Long Ear Registry. We welcome all levels of competition within a family-friendly environment. Become a member, register, and add value to your horse. For more information, check out the website pintoworld.com.
We're here for the hardworking, the resilient. We're for the people who measure their days by what needs to get done, not by hours. Where kids learn responsibility at a young age and generations work side by side. Where work doesn't pause for holidays or bad weather. It just gets harder. Where value and hard work means more than the clothes you wear. We're Kleinschmidt's Western Store, Higginsville, Missouri.
And welcome back to Better Horses Radio. So glad you joined us. We're sitting at Silvertooth Stables, and we are proud and very honored to be talking about a professional horse trainer. It's located also in Missouri, at New Franklin, Missouri. It's going to be Mike Davis, and Mike Davis has his own breeding and also training barn, and we're going to welcome him to Better Horses. Mike, welcome to Better Horses.
Hey, it is so great to be here, and I tell you what, when I just look around this facility, it makes me excited for anyone that is fortunate enough to have a horse here. Because they have to walk in here every day with a big smile on. I mean, how could you not smile with this beautiful place? You've done amazing things with it.
Well, you know, I appreciate that coming out of Silvertooth Stables. Let me set it up for our listening audience. Mike, you just brought a 3-year-old Ghost that just came into the barn. The name is Ghost, and he is well trained and going into a new rider. Tell us about your job every day in getting these horses, and it's only 3 years old, but getting them ready for a new owner and getting them legged up. And what are some of the new training techniques that you like to use that seems to be working?
Well, I don't know if I use any new training techniques. You know, everything we steal from someone else. And most of it I've stolen from my brother and watching him. He's a cutting horse guy. But, you know, with Ghost, he's a 3-year-old. When they came down and purchased him, he'd only had about 30 days of riding. And the 30 days, you know, he'd walk, trot, canter, but it was still a lot of new stuff to him. So they purchased him. We kept him another, about 40, 45 days. And, you know, my goal during that time was to get him ready for his new owner. And she's someone that has ridden in the past, but had been away from horses for a while. So desensitizing, you know, you talk about new training. Let's tie a horse up. Let's put his saddle on. Let's tie a couple of paper sacks, feed bags to him with binder twine. Let's turn him loose in the arena. Let's put him on a lunge line and do those things. I don't know that that's new school. That's old school stuff. But I think you have to desensitize him. I think for him, a lot of just wet saddle blankets. And, you know, the last thing I told the new owner as we left over there, I said, touch him every chance you get. Every day, find some way to get to him, find some way to touch him, find some way if you just lunge him, if you're able to ride him. Hey, if you can just tie him up and brush him for 5 minutes, if that's all the time you have. But touch him every day, because when you don't, hey, they know you're not caring for him that way.
There you go. Now, we have some challenges here like everybody has. When you have a new rider and a new horse, you definitely want to take some extra cautions in putting those two combinations together. What are the things that we need to look at going into new owners that are bringing in a young horse? What should we, as professional trainers, what should we be coaching these kids to be looking out for?
Well, you know, I talked to you earlier, and there's one thing I've talked to her about. I think a confined area to start with. You have a wonderful round pen right here. To me, that's a great place. Groundwork is important. I don't think any young horse you should go and jump on. I think those days are in the past of let's trailer him out to the pasture, let's jump on and go gather cattle on him. I think that's, you're asking for problems. But when you have a facility like you have here, spend 15 minutes in that round pen. Do some groundwork. And I've never done much liberty work, but a lot of people love doing those things. And, there's a discipline that horses learn from groundwork. A big thing to me, the most important thing, you have to be able to get on a horse. I'm big. I'm 64 years old, so I use mounting blocks. But I think it's big for a horse to stand while you get on them. The mounting block is a huge thing, and then hey, let's get them in that round pen. I always talk, if there's any issue, you get them in a smaller circle. You take their feet, keep them busy, and pretty soon their mind's back to you. Because young horses, to me, that's the biggest thing that happens. Their mind gets on what's going on in this beautiful property on the highway out here. You have families walking through this facility. You see a stroller coming through with two little kids. That horse, you've got to get his mind back to you. And I think that's the biggest goal that any rider has, is to keep connected to that horse.
That's exactly right. And if you're just joining us, we're talking to professional trainer Mike Davis from New Franklin, Missouri. And Mike, let's talk about the economy.
You may be over-exaggerating with professional trainer.
I've categorized you as a professional. We're going to run with that, but I appreciate that. So let's talk about the economy for just a minute, and let's talk about horses in general. Horse flesh got real expensive there right after COVID. How do you see it going, and what kind of new clients do you see coming forward in getting into the horse industry?
We buy and sell a lot of young horses, just like Ghost. He's a registered quarter horse. Sometimes they're quarter horses. We also sell a lot of draft crosses, which are really unique horses. Every horse is different when they're a draft cross. But a lot of them, 2, 3, 4-year-olds, and we ride them just like the quarter horse, Western. So when you talk about economy, I think you've got to find a niche. And, we try to find a niche for people that want some personal attention. We're a very small facility. I mean, we keep 20 horses or so there around. But, we try to have 4 or 5 ready to sell all the time after we've spent time with them. And like with this young lady, we knew she wasn't quite ready to take that horse home. So let's spend 45 more days. She came down every Sunday and rode. I thought that was huge on her part, number one, to take the time to drive to us, which was about 100 miles each day, each way. But, I think for us, we have to find a way to service people better than somebody else is. Yep. And, in whatever economy it is, you have to find a way to make somebody feel like, they care about me. It's not about the horse, it's about me, the person, and then let's find the horse that'll make you smile.
Mike, I want to tell you that we've gone out in mid-Missouri, we've seen a lot of cattlemen out there, and they're just now getting back into horses where they historically have never gotten into horses. That we see that a lot around the industry, actually around the country. So more and more people are jumping on this bandwagon. What do you want to say to the listeners out there that have not pulled that trigger yet in getting into horses, some of the big benefits of what they can see when they do pull that trigger?
Well, I was teasing you a while ago. It's more expensive than golf, right, but you never have to look, for the ball. But in all truthfulness, I was raised on a cattle ranch. I rode horses every day. And when I say every day, I mean every day. It's what I did. And the best way to grow up imaginable. We don't all have that option to grow up right now in that same way. We don't always have that. A horse, though, to spend the time taking care of one, the obligation of it, it teaches a sense of worth to you, but a sense of worth in taking care of something else the right way. I think there's no better therapy than working with a horse. And you don't necessarily have to be on it to have it. I had 2 granddaughters from California in this week. They live in Orange County. They have a great life, great family, but, they don't have access to that. Yep. And our little barn is right beside our house, and literally those 2 kids spent 15 hours a day in the barn. Now, it may have been on the hay, it may have been playing with the cat, it may have been doing 10 jillion different other things, but, they got to be a part of the life that we all enjoy in the horse life. So I don't think there's any better therapy or way to make us all better people than be around horses.
I agree, and let's not take it for granted, but you are right. Boarding barns are becoming far and few between. They're very important. Let's keep them alive. And before we close out, I want to ask you a question. If people wanted to get a hold of you and talk to you about horses or breeding or talk about training, what's the best way to contact you?
Okay, well, like I was telling you a while ago, I'm a horrible tech person, so that's not my strong suit. But we have a great Facebook page called Davis Horses. Go to Davis Horses, New Franklin, Missouri. It has a lot of stuff on horses we have available at that time, and we do have some really wonderful family-type horses available. But it also has stuff, like this weekend our grandkids were in, and heck, we had stuff that was going on then. At Christmas time, you'll see sleighs horses and everything else, and so there's a lot more than just what we have available. And I think it's a good way that if you enjoy equine, if you enjoy farm life, if you enjoy maybe taking a step back few years into the past, it reconnects you in a lot of ways. That's what we try to do. So it's good, wholesome fun when we put it that way. But Davis Horses, we welcome people to come see us anytime. I was telling you, located in the big town of New Franklin, Missouri. We're almost directly between St. Louis and Kansas City, and we love having visitors and love showing people our horses.
There you go. All right, Mike Davis, professional trainer over there in New Franklin, Missouri. I want to thank everybody for staying with us. We're going to have more Better Horses coming your way right after these messages. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dylan Luter, a specialist in equine performance medicine at the Kansas State University Veterinary Health Center. Our new service focuses on lameness diagnosis, advanced imaging, physical therapy, and regenerative medicine for horses with injuries preventing them from performing at their best. We can treat a variety of conditions and design a customized rehabilitation plan to meet the needs of each client and their horse. Visit us at ksvhc.org, the Veterinary Health Center, to discover, to teach, to heal.
Hey, it's Matt at Heritage Tractor. Around here, we don't just sell tractors. We stand behind what we run. And we believe the difference between John Deere and the rest is more than just paint deep. We put the John Deere 1025R head-to-head against the competition. Spoiler alert, it wasn't even close. From smarter hydraulics to easier maintenance and a smoother ride, the 1025R was built for real work, not just showroom specs. Want proof? See the side-by-side results at heritagetractor.com. Or better yet, stop in and feel the difference for yourself.
Established in 1956, the Pinto Horse Association of America was formed to welcome all types of equines and maintain their show records and pedigrees. PTHA currently has over 88,000 members with 157,000 registered pintos. There are currently 3 separate registries: the Color Registry, the Solid Registry, and the Long Ear Registry. We welcome all levels of competition within a family-friendly environment. Become a member, register, and add value to your horse. For more information, check out the website pintoworld.com.
Get quality you can stand on. Hoof Grip is the proprietary formula that provides shock absorption for your animals with no ice buildup, slipping, cracking, or sogginess, making it the safest, most comfortable, and maintenance-free flooring on the market. Hoof Grip installs quickly and easily over existing surfaces, is easy to clean, and withstands extreme heat or cold. From vet offices to barns, wash racks to trailers and more. Visit hoofgrip.com to find a dealer in your area today.
We're here for the hardworking, the resilient. We're for the people who measure their days by what needs to get done, not by hours. Where kids learn responsibility at a young age and generations work side by side. Where work doesn't pause for holidays or bad weather. It just gets harder. Where value and hard work means more than the clothes you wear. We're Kleinschmidt's Western Store, Higginsville, Missouri.
It's time to go with United Mosquito and Fly Control's premier fly system for fly control in your barn, providing relief for horses from the stress of fighting flies, and also makes the barn more pleasant for everyone in the barn. Easy, effective, and safe. With United Mosquito and Fly Control, we provide a full service. You as the barn owner don't have to do anything. We go everywhere and take care of everything with our friendly fast service. Call today at 913-558-3814 or email Paul at unitedmosquito.com.
And welcome back to Better Horses Radio. I'm your host, Ed Adams. As the life and times at Silvertooth Stables and all the professionals that coming through our barn, I am very thrilled to have one of our guys coming through that is one of the sages in the industry. His name is Ed Reardon, and he graduated at the Gherkin Horseshoeing School on the campus of Rice University in Houston. Now, I said this before. That was back in 1970, so that tells you exactly how much experience he has. Now, he's also he was a current president at the Missouri Association of Professional Farriers. And as I mentioned, he tried retirement and it didn't go well, so he came right back into the industry again. And he typically works about a 4-day week. And this guy is telling us that you can keep going right to the very end. So first of all, I'm going to welcome Ed Reardon to Better Horses. Ed, welcome to our show.
Thank you. inviting me.
So Ed, you've been doing this for quite a long time, and one of the most important things we do with our horses, without good feet, you don't have a horse. So you've seen a lot of horses come and go. What are the main conditions that you like to see that is just good care and custody of the shoe?
I like to see good, dry, clean feet, no bacteria. I think grass is one of the worst things we can let our horses out on. Dew is part of that. Also, I think bathing horses is one of the worst things we can do. I suggest buying vacuums, just hand washing their backs and then vacuum them off after you ride them.
That's a good tip. We just got to the Missouri State Fair. Most of the state fairs have a lot of cattle, and they use these vacuums for their cattle, so this would not be that difficult to train our horses for this.
No, once you do it a few times to them, they're very good with using a vacuum on them, and they like it. And it keeps them clean. You don't wash off the good oils that the flies don't like. I mean, if you give them baths, flies are going to eat on them.
There you go.
So that's about it.
So one of the things I've always been impressed with is you work very closely with the veterinarians and talking about balancing in the shoes, things of that sort. What do they bring to the table that you find valuable when you guys are collaborating?
The best thing about veterinarians and farriers is just the collaboration between what both of us see. And I always say I'd rather have 4 eyes on a foot than 2. And we can x-ray. We can't look at a foot and see where the coffin bone is. We can't look and see where the deep digital flexor tendon's pulling. We have to have an x-ray to know that, and we have to know the angle of the coffin bone. So it's very important. Also, all these vets are very experienced. They've all been working on feet for a long time, so that's why I enjoy it.
Let me flip the script. So do we rely too much on the veterinarians when we're looking at the feet and not bringing in the farriers fast enough?
I think the farrier and the vet ought to show up at the same time.
Okay.
And I don't think my opinion is I don't think that the vets come in too soon. I think they ought to be there as soon as the farriers are there.
Perfect. You actually shoe a lot of performance horses, things of that sort, as opposed to easy riding. One of the things that we have to look for when we're really moving these horses and competing them time and time again, we talked about pads for horses. We talked about cushions and things of that sort. What are some of the techniques that you like to look for when you're seeing a horse really being used on a daily basis?
A lot of the jumping horses that have great concussion daily, I go with like a 3D pad and impression material, and it gives cushion support to the frog. I will also do a frog pad is what we call it, and I use Equipack in there just to give the horse more support and concussion absorption.
Talk about abscesses coming we're getting into the winter months, we're going into fall. What are the things we need to look for when we're thinking abscesses before we call a farrier? What are the things that we can do to prevent that? Or is there anything we can do to prevent that?
There's a lot of things you can do to prevent abscesses. The main thing is keep the feet clean daily. I mean, if you can clean their feet once or twice a day, it's awesome. If you see or smell any bad bacteria, treat it with Thrush Off or one of those products. If your horse is acts sore, don't wait for 4 weeks before you call the veterinarian, because at that point you're liable to end up with a bone infection, which isn't good at all. So it's better if either the farrier or the vet can check that out with maybe hoof testers before you let it get too bad.
Perfect. If you're just joining us, we're talking to certified farrier Ed Reardon, who's been doing this for 40 plus years. We're not going to ask him his age again because I think he'll actually stop the interview if I do. So, but anyway, we appreciate you doing this for a long period of time. Ed, what have you seen throughout the years as far as technology goes, as far as the farrier industry is concerned? Have we changed it, or has this been the consistent basis of how we shoe horses and take care of horses, and it hasn't changed in 100 years?
There are many, fly-by-night new inventives that come out, but most of them never do work. The basics are the prime thing that we do with these feet. We have to keep them balanced, and the more simple we can keep it, the better we are. So we have new technology in different shoes that really help, some different balance shoes and some issues with ring bone and things like that, but basics is the best.
For easy riding horses that don't compete,
Is it best to keep the shoes off? Is it best to keep the shoes on? Is there a rule of thumb of any kind?
My theory is, especially in Missouri where I live and we're at, I like to see the shoes come off in the winter, say the end of November, and put them back on the 1st of March or whenever you start to ride them, just to let the foot relax. And it can kind of spread and be more natural, and then redo them in the spring.
And we talked about many types of shoes that you see fit. There is a rubber shoes that people have seen and tried before. Your thoughts on that?
I've tried many different synthetic shoes. My issue with most of them is that they let the foot spread. They won't keep the foot together. And so if you have a big, heavy horse and you put those on him, his whole bony column is going to push down through the foot, and it's going to spread that foot, and you don't want that foot to spread. So, and it's the same way if that horse is on grass and he's a little bit foundered, he's going to spread those feet, and it's hard to get them back where they belong.
For the horses that have laminitis and that foundered, the chances of them getting back to 100%, your thoughts on that?
So the main thing with foundered horses is the issue of thin soles. The more the foot grows out forward, which they will with a foundered horse, the thinner the sole gets. So my theory and my best shoe for that is a wooden clog, and I screw them on the feet, and I can grow 3 times the amount of sole as I can with a regular shoe. I'd love to work on those because you can make them so much better really fast.
So they can be cured. Yeah. They can be treated.
I don't know if it's cured, but
cured's not a good word.
But they can be changed. The hoof wall and everything brought back in line with the coffin bone. So because the foot gets distorted when they founder, and when we x-ray, we trim them right back just like the x-ray. So we take a lot of foot off and make that foot, like it was prior to the founder, so we can make it better. And we can make them perform.
I'll put you on the spot here on thrush. What type of medicine? What do you like to use? What works best?
Air. If you clean the feet, and air is the best thing for to kill the bacteria. It's an anaerobic bacteria, so air kills that. So the more you clean the feet, the less thrush you're going to have. But you can also treat it with, betadine or any antiseptic will work.
Perfect. Yeah. Ed, I want to thank you for joining Better Horses. As always, it's very important for us to take care of these horses and more importantly, the hardworking farriers out there. If I can ask one more question, is for somebody who wanted to be a farrier, get into this line of work, get into this industry, what's the best advice you'd like to give them?
My suggestion is to come work with me or one of the good farriers that are in our area and go for a day and just see everything that we do. Our business is one of the best there is in the world. We can do as many horses as we want. We can take a vacation when we want to. There are many great schools in our area. We have a school here in Missouri. We have a couple in Oklahoma. Very good schools. And then try and find a farrier you can work with who's educated and has experience.
And as far as the industry goes, would you say there's a big need for the farriers?
It's huge. A big need even in the Kansas City area.
There you go.
Yep.
So it's a job in demand. Ed, I want to thank you for joining Better Horses. As always appreciate you coming by Silvertooth Stables too, so appreciate that. I'd like you to come back, and if people needed to get a hold of you, what's the best way to contact you?
You can call my phone at 816-830-4679.
Well, Merle, that kind of wraps up what it's like at Silvertooth Stables, having everybody come into your program and coming into your stables and talking all about horses. What a great job we have, right?
Yeah, and at this time of year, these days are great, 75 degrees and sunny. That's what we all want, right?
Yeah, well, winter is coming, so we're not going to be all this happy when it's about 0 degrees. So keep that in mind. So anyway,
get your tank heaters ready.
Here we go. Hey, listen, if you happen to want to listen to this show again, this is our broadcast. We are going to turn it into a podcast. So wherever you get your podcast, just search for Better Horses.
Ed, the Better Horses Fall Edition newspaper is out. There are a lot of great articles in there for horses and riders, and there's also a full Color Breed Congress schedule in there. The deadline is coming up, so be sure and check that out and get your entries in.
And we'll have that electronically also on our website at betterhorses.com. Keep in mind, we also have the Better Horses TV show airing on RFD, the Cowboy Channel, streaming on Equus TV, local TV stations also. And if you also check that out, you can see our YouTube episodes wherever you get your YouTube.
I can't close the show out without saying special thanks to our team behind the scenes, our radio producer, Brianna Johnson, our television producer, Kelly Creech, and of course, all of our great sponsors.
Couldn't do it without them. And obviously, we want to thank all our listeners. So that kind of wraps it up for this week. Hey, Merle, I want to thank you for joining me. And we want all of you to be good buckaroos and buckarettes. Mind your mom and dads, be brave, but don't take any chances out there. Until next time, I'm Ed Adams.
And I'm Merle Arbo.
Happy trails, and always ride for the brand.